Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy Heroes. We're back with a talk video, and this one's for the state of the galaxy, and CG has given us a good one. Normally I try to put all of the news into a single talk video, but there is so much in this state of the galaxy that we are going to have to focus completely on that, which means the Krrsantan kit analysis and breakdown is going to be in a separate video. We're probably going to do even more videos related to this thing. I love it. We needed this. Players were getting caught up with the existing goalposts, which meant the game was getting stagnant. This has or will sufficiently shake things up for a while, and hopefully there's even more to come. So we're going to break down the state of the galaxy, touch on Krrsantan and the new tags, but the bulk of Krrsantan will be in a separate video. Galactic Legend, Jabba the Hutt, Profundity, the quality of life updates on the mods, and then wrapping up as we do with the free-to-play gearing of my roster. From the moment we all laid eyes on his beautiful, shaggy features, we knew Krrsantan was obviously coming to the game. There was no character more desirable from Book of Boba Fett, and if you've read the comics, you like him even more. This is the type of Marquee that brings players back to the game. We're excited about him. Hopefully he lives up to that and can be the type of character that gets whales to spend, but we will have to talk about him in a separate video, or this video will be an hour long. The one thing I'll say right now is, with how his kit is focused on the Hutt Cartel tag, a lot is going to come down to who else gets it. That may limit his utility until we get GL Jabba, and that is going to happen probably around the end of September. In the meantime, I'm hoping there's plenty of tie-ins with other squads so we can have some fun with them. That Hutt Cartel tag is going to be initially applied to Boba Fett, Embo, Cad Bane, Greedo, Gamorrean Guard, and Mob Enforcer. I'm particularly happy to see Cad and Gamorrean Guard getting the tag, because that means some of my quarterly speculation on those two characters is probably going to happen. And for personal reasons, Greedo is my boy. That is one of my favorite characters from being a child fan of Star Wars. Very happy that this means that Greedo is probably going to have more utility out of that niche use. He's a nice relic, but he's one of those luxury relics that's not really worth going out of the way for unless you're later in the game, even later than I am. This all leads up to Galactic Legend Jabba the Hutt. He was a popular guess for the next GL. I'll be interested to see how they fit him on screen, because he's going to be a big character. They'll have some Wampa level character design issues depending on what that end result is going to be. I hope we see Salacious Crumb with him somewhere in his kit. It's just a fun thing that I think I'm rooting for. In the announcement, there's several things we should highlight. One is he's going to interact heavily with bounty hunters and smugglers. We have Han Solo as one of those prerequisites. I doubt they're going to pull Han away from the CLS squad, but it'll be interesting to see what those mechanics will be. Interact heavily, like CG is usually pretty careful with their language. I do pay attention to these kinds of things. The other part here that is very interesting is Krrsantan is one of several upcoming Marquees that directly support the new faction tag, and these Marquee units will be requirements for Jabba the Hutt. We don't know exactly how many of those there is going to be. In the quarterly speculation video we put out last week, I have been betting on Bib Fortuna for several quarters now. I would almost guarantee that Bib Fortuna is going to be one of those. And I think we'll do an entire video on this, but I think we might even see Hondo. We need weakways in the game, and there's enough Hutt Cartel synergy there where I think he could get the tag. The first set of requirements. Krrsantan Relic 5, pretty manageable. No one's going to have any issue with a higher Relic Han. Gamorrean Guard at Relic 3. Not surprising that we're getting Gamorrean Guard. I had him in a list video from a year ago where I talked about the characters who are guaranteed to become a future requirement. He was a no doubt one because he was an exclusive guild store farm. Characters like him always become requirements. Greedo, obvious tie-ins. If he wasn't on this list, we would all be saying he was going to be. Outrider at 7 stars, sure, that's a solid ship. This last thing here about the territory battles, interesting that they're going to do it. Kind of perplexing why Jabba is the one to do it other than CG motivating some spending to get characters, to get players to access it sooner. But they're saying we're going to get more about this in the next road ahead. Who knows when that will be though. With the Profundity, no surprises here. This is what I was expecting. An Executor level release. I do think we'll get a Conquest ship to augment it at some point, most likely Luke's Red 5. Don't read too much into the ships that CG is saying is going to be good for it. I look at that more as a misdirect. CG is going to want us to figure out the ideal fleets on our own. They're not going to give that away. In terms of these requirements, I think these are perfectly fine and defensible. Piet was Relic 9, makes sense that Radis is Relic 9. With Radis, Cassian, and Jin, that's going to give us an effective Radis squad. I expect all of those characters to remain part of the Radis squad. In the quarterly speculation video, though, I was making a guess that Saw Gerrera at some point is going to be coming in to make that squad even better. The other requirements, Dash, Relic 7's great, going to be good for the fleet. The only thing there, and this happened with the Executor, is when you have those Relic 7 requirements, it gives it less wiggle room in Fleet Arena to create differences in competitive advantage when everyone is already at higher relics. Mon Mothma, we already had our Relic 3 for Jedi Master Luke. What's 2 more relic levels to 5? Bistan, already a highly desirable relic for the ship. Hera, this is one I think we're all going to think is great in 6 months to 8 months because we know from Star Wars Celebration that Hera is in Ahsoka from the first look teaser that they gave. So that means sometime next year, I think it's a safe bet that Hera gets revisited and made a whole lot better, making that relic in particular perfectly fine and maybe even desirable. This relic update is nothing major, but it's fine. They're slightly improving the circuit board issue and to a lesser extent the bronzium wiring for higher level relics, but really those higher level relics is not the problem here. It's just taking characters to Relic, even to Relic 5 or Relic 3 for Datacrons in general. So this is going to help, but really only in writing, not in practice. The actual issue still pretty much exists. They're just removing it from the higher level relics, which were already gated a bit by those higher level materials. So it's nice, but we can move on from that. The quality of life update though on the mods, this deserves much more attention. I'm very happy about it. The portion of it that I'm most excited about though is this batch management. I think that is going to be a big lifesaver, make things a lot better. It's going to depend though on how things function, but if you're able to just look at all of the mods, particularly the mods that are already on characters without having to click on each one, that is going to make things much easier to deal with and a lot easier to swap them and figure them out. The other things though, being able to save filters, that's going to be a huge time saver. There's a number of things that are going to make improvements, but I think a lot of the stuff is aesthetic. In terms of like this mod filtering, a lot of this is going to help, but I think some of it is just more of a visual update. Some of these things, depending on what stage you are of managing your mods, like me, I immediately take every mod up to the, what is it, the blue level, the sea level mods, just because I have the resources for it. So at that stage, this level of fine tuning, I don't know if that's going to augment things. It's really more that the batch management that I'm looking forward to. Although being able to level multiple mods up quickly just to reveal all the secondaries is going to be nice and beneficial. And I do like this visual update that shows how many times a particular secondary has been procced. This type of visual change it helps your brain register that difference much faster than reading the number, reading it all out. It communicates that information in a much more effective way. So I'm not going to complain about any quality of life update. I think we need to see this live before we can make final decisions. I think the visual update is going to be a huge improvement. But in general, I think I need to see it in action before I can give a full review of it. But it looks nice so far. And now to wrap up, as we do with the free-to-play gearing of my roster, this is the gearing I did on June 26th. It's a little bit different than what I normally do in these because I'm reaching a point where there's very little low gear things left. So 5th brother promoting, and 7th sister as well. You can see where I am with the Grand Inquisitor requirements. Take him up to 6 and 7 stars. He was a 17-day farm. This is why Cantina nodes are awesome, especially he was on a 10 energy node, so very fast. 7th sister, getting her up to 6 stars. Not as fast to farm, but still making good progress. Now the next thing that I want to do, and this is what is a bit different, is instead of taking characters up to gear 11, now I am adding a bunch of the Sith Eternal Emperor characters, just taking them up to gear 12. Going to that next stage. I'm going to do Grand Inquisitor first. It's fewer characters to relics and to higher relics, but this will help me figure out which gear 12 resources I need to start prioritizing. Just make things a little bit easier to manage. So that was the bulk of why I took those characters up. And that's where all the other Galactic Legends stand at this point. Visa's taking her up to 12 just to make some marginal improvements onto Starkiller. And that's all I do for this period. Just getting myself closer to each of those milestones. That's it for this talk. Look for my thoughts on Krrsantan and his kit coming soon. In the corner, the quarterly speculation video that's going to have some GL Jabba tie-ins, very Book of Boba Fett focused, and I'm going to put the other list video from last year that I referred to earlier in the video about the guaranteed future requirements in the corner as well. Thank you for watching. Be safe out there and be excellent to each other. This is Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.